This is really a pleasure for me to be here with you today. For any of you that don't know me, I'm the Community and Economic Development Director for Spanish Fork City. Dave Anderson. I left kind of a small pile of business cards back there in case anybody wants to track me down later. Also, we have a little bit of information over on the table relative to what we're going to talk about today, which is something that for me is extremely exciting. Spanish Fork City, I think, for many decades has done an outstanding job of creating an environment in the community that's very conducive to commerce. Going back for decades, city officials have been very effective at recruiting different companies to town. I drive around the north end of the city today and I look at facilities like Sapa, Capstone, Clune Industries, different employers, companies that employ literally thousands of people in the community, and it's been great over the years to hear the backstory on how Spanish Fork convinced them to come to the community. And as we drive up along Marketplace Drive and Spanish Fork Parkway, around the new Walmart and the theater, the restaurants, different things like that, likewise, it's great to be able to appreciate the effort that city officials have put into making that kind of commerce happen in the community. And frankly, there are some tools that we have as a municipality in Utah that we can use to help compete with other cities when we're trying to recruit maybe a big manufacturer to come to Spanish Fork or a retailer. But there's been a fairly significant void relative to what we can do to help smaller businesses, maybe businesses that have a presence on our main street downtown, maybe a business that hasn't been conducting business all that long. And for many years, we've kicked around the idea of trying to come up with a way to help businesses obtain financing that they need so that they can stay in the community, they can grow in the community, and so that they can reach their potential. And that's really what we're here to talk about today. It's through the efforts of some other folks that we in Spanish Fork have really been able to piggyback on some groundwork that they've laid. We've been able to tap into some expertise that they have, so that Spanish Fork City is now participating in what's called the Business Loan Fund of Utah. And in short, from our perspective as the city, this really is an opportunity to help businesses that otherwise might not be able to get the assistance that they need, like I mentioned a minute ago, to reach their potential. So this is something that I would love to talk with anybody about anytime. We're really, really excited. With an investment that we've made as the city, we have access today to about $350,000 of borrowing capacity that, to put simply, we really want to see working for businesses in our community as quickly as we can get it there. I'm going to wrap up really quickly because the people that you really want to hear from are the experts on this. But relative to that, we're anxious and eager. We want to have conversations with anybody that might think this is a program that can help them. And please don't ever hesitate to contact me. Again, my contact info is back there. Please don't hesitate to grab it. Now, I'm not sure who's taking the lead here or anything like that, but I will say this. I hope that both Mickey and Mike will take just a moment to maybe describe a little bit about their experience in what I'm going to call just the lending industry. Because in all candor, it's impressive. And what we've done in Spanish Fork is we've joined basically a cooperative with a number of other cities, and these folks are working for us as part of the cooperative, really as our experts to help with underwriting and managing this loan fund so that we can make things happen for businesses in the community here. I really appreciate both Mickey Grimes and Mike Plaisir for joining us today. And Mike, the floor is yours.
Well, I'll just take a minute and explain a little bit about the program and how it started, where it came from, how it initiated, and then we'll turn the time over to Mickey, who really understands the program. She works for us as a consultant. She's got a long background in lending and in working with companies, former CFO and understanding small business. And one of her passions is working with small businesses and helping them grow and succeed. So we'll have her speak in just a minute. Let me just tell you a little bit about our organization. We're a little nonprofit out of Salt Lake. I was a former banker, was in banking for about 32 years, and had the opportunity to move over and start a nonprofit. So in 2008, we started a nonprofit that worked in affordable housing and did some affordable housing. We still have that today. In 2012, we were approached, the Treasury, U.S. Treasury came out with a program to do small business lending. They gave money to each of the states. The state did a RFP for it, and we were the successful bidder on that program to administer that. So from 2012 until the Treasury program ended in the end of 2016, we loaned out over $54 million in small business loans or guaranteed loans. We'd either participate or guarantee the loan. And we helped a lot of small businesses. When that program ended at the end of 2016, we'd always hoped that it was administered through the state. It went through the state of Utah, that the state would continue that program. They decided they had other uses for that money, and they ended the program. Our board looked at that and looked at we feel there's a real finance gap in small businesses. If you need between $50,000 and $250,000, it's very difficult to get. If you need over that, it's easier to find, and you have a lot of programs like the Micro Enterprise Loan Fund that you can get money under the $50,000. But between that $50,000 and $250,000, there's a real finance desert. So our board decided that was a program we should pursue. And about a year ago, we started in earnest to put this together as the state was ending the other program, the first of 2017, and we actually gathered together a group of cities. We wanted what we called friendly cities, because anytime you're putting a new loan fund together, you need friendlies, because you're going to have a lot of ups and downs and a lot of learning curve. And one of those was Dave Anderson at Spanish Fork. And he's been great to work with. He understands what we're trying to do, supports what we're trying to do. The initial cities, we intend to grow this, and we're actually talking to other cities to add others, but the initial ones that came in, we just closed the fund in February. We have Weber County, Ogden City, Provo, Orem, and Spanish Fork are all participants in the fund. And we're going to expand this statewide. As a participant, they come in and put some money in, and for money they put in, they get to leverage that money 7 times in loan funds, and we help administer those funds, help underwrite the funds so they get, it's hard for a small city to have a loan program because it's difficult to find the expertise to originate them, to underwrite them, and to service them. And we can help do that, bringing it all into one organization. So our organization put up a top loss of it on $600,000 to back it up. And I think it's a great program to really help. It's been a lot of fun. I think the week after we closed the fund, we had our first loan committee and had our first loan approved. A business out of Orem for $125,000. We hope that the loan will help them succeed in their business. But I'm going to turn the time over to Mickey to tell us the details on the program and how it works and what our parameters are.
Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for having us here today. I am Mickey Grames, and I am the consultant to Business Loans of Utah, or BLUE as we call it. As Mike mentioned, I did come up through the ranks of corporate finance to the position of CFO. This was many years ago, but I moved to Salt Lake in 1990 and started a small business consulting firm. And what I did is work with businesses, just like many of you, helping them find money for their businesses. I successfully packaged over $35 million just in SBA guaranteed loans, as well as doing some venture capital, angel, that sort of, all those different loan funds. But the key to what I did was to understand what the lenders were looking for so that I could work with the clients and make sure, number one, they would qualify, and that then substantially improved their chances of getting their money. But I also spent 2 years with Zions Bank. Any Zions Bank people here today? Oh, sorry. Sorry, we're recording. That's all right. Zions Bank. Okay, I was 2 years. I was with the Women's Financial Group in Salt Lake City. So along with Mike, we're what we call recovering bankers. There is a 12-step program for that, just in case. Yeah. Okay. But seriously, now being associated with the Blue Fund is very exciting. My job is to do what I love, and that is to work with the small businesses that are interested in applying for the loans, making sure your paperwork is in order, your business plan says what it needs to say, making sure and working with you to make sure that you've got a good cash flow forecast that will demonstrate to the credit committee that you not only will grow the business with this money, but that also you'll have the ability to repay the loan. And those are sort of the specialties that I have done for over 25 years now, is business plans and cash flow. So it's a tremendous opportunity for many of our small businesses. It's a learning opportunity to start understanding how the lending process works. But it's also an opportunity to strengthen your business because you get a little education on cash flow management and some other areas that you may need some assistance in. By the way, I also happen to be a SCORE mentor. Anybody familiar with SCORE, Senior Corps of Retired Executives? Which means that to you, I will be working with any business that applies at no charge to the business. Some of it will be allocated to SCORE mentors, and then I'll be underwriting your loan, convincing these two guys first that we ought to do the loan, and then that's where I get paid, is on the back side of the loan. So as a business owner, you get the opportunity to access capital that you may not have had. One of the things about this program that makes it so exciting is because they are a private nonprofit, they are not regulated by the Federal Reserve like our bankers are. And I do like to defend my banking friends. Having been in banking, having worked with banking so many times, they see the business, they know it's a great business, but you just don't fit in that little square box with the bow on top. Well, as a private nonprofit, we don't have those strict regulations from the Federal Reserve. Therefore, we're going to be able to do the loans that banks cannot do. And I think that's the real key to our program. If you are bankable and you're not sure, I'll let you know and I'll introduce you to your local banker. But if you are still in that growth mode, you're 2 years old in business or a little bit longer, you may not have achieved profitability yet. That's very normal for small businesses. Then you have the opportunity to get that access to capital that'll help your business go to the next step and the next level. The other reason that I like working with this program is because we want to help you become bankable within 5 years. And that's part of this learning process as I work with you to help you understand here's where you need to be to ultimately get that SBA guaranteed loan or to get that other bank loan that you might be applying for. But in the meantime, you may very well be eligible to access capital right now that will take you to that step. So process is similar to what you might do with the bank. We have a typical application form. I have provided a checklist of items that you'll need to pull together, again, similar to a bank. And then we have a standard format for not only a business plan. By the way, nobody panic on me. We're not looking for 50 pages here. We're looking for a business summary at about 6 to 8 pages. And we also have a format for our cash flow forecast so that you can get together, and it's a very useful tool not only for lending purposes but also for getting learning more about the business loan, the business opportunities that you have, but also a good tool to use in your business if you're able to do that. And then, as I mentioned, work with you very closely, one-on-one. I'll be with you when you go to meet the credit committee. And somebody asked about Shark Tank. I promise it is not Shark Tank, okay? We're not going there. But the credit committee is made up of folks like Dave, our economic development folks that we're partnering with, as well okay, we do have a couple of bankers on the committee, so, but you get the opportunity to meet these individuals and to help them understand the business, but also see the credibility that you as the business owner or your team bring to the business. And that's really important. I spent a number of years with the Utah Microenterprise Loan Fund. I'm not sure if you are familiar with them. They're now statewide. They do loans up to $50,000. And by meeting the credit committee, oftentimes the committee members would come in, oh, Mickey, I don't know about this loan, you know. And then they'd meet the individual and they'd see the credibility, the expertise that the individual was bringing to it. They'd meet the other team members and see what they're bringing to the business. And we went from, I don't think we can do this loan, to a loan approval. And I think we're going to find this with the Blue committee members as well. So don't panic about meeting credit committee members. It really is a great process. And the credit committee members will be very willing to share some expertise, some thoughts, some ideas for you as well. So if your loan is approved, they have the ability to fund very quickly. You won't be waiting 6-8 weeks and several months to get the money, as long as you have your documents together. And by the way, the loans can be used for any valid business expense. Inventory, down payments on real estate, working capital. We can, in certain instances, refinance some of your debt if you've got high interest loans, equipment loans. The standard business expenses are what we want to help you fund, the expenses that will help your business grow to the next level. So that's just kind of an overview. Now, I've brought cards today, although this is your first contact right here, but you'll also be, feel free to contact me by email or by phone if you're looking for some additional information. So I hope to be working with some of you in the very near future, and thank you.
Once again, I really appreciate Mike and Mickey joining us today. They're a great resource. I had the opportunity to attend and just kind of be a fly on the wall for the first credit committee meeting that was maybe 6 or 8 weeks ago, something like that. Maybe that long? Maybe a month ago?
Maybe a month at most, yeah.
And I'll tell you, these folks are absolute professionals, the other people involved in the credit committee. I was really amazed. And it's always a pleasure for me to see people that just are as good at what they do as these folks are. So again, I hope nobody has any hesitation, at least about reaching out if you think this is something that might be beneficial for you. We're very fortunate as a community to have elected officials today that have been as supportive of this program as they were. Council people, Brandon Gordon, Stacy Beck, Mike Mendenhall, particularly in Mike's case with him, being a community banker. I really leaned on him as I was trying to evaluate whether this was a good step for Spanish Fork to take, and he was very supportive. I don't know if any of you have anything you want to share relative to our participation in the program or your thoughts.
Like Dave said, when this was brought up to Brandon and Stacy and I, the rest of the council, it was good in the way that Dave presented it. When you think about this and you see who else is on the sheet that's participating in this loan fund, it wasn't something that we'd done at Spanish Fork before. It was new, but following the mayor's mantra of the home of pride and progress, we're not afraid of doing new things in Spanish Fork. And so Dave was very cognizant of the ability of the recovering bankers in the room and what this would mean to their type of industry, as well as those that are always cognizant of, well, how much should your government get into the private sector, if you will. I see this as a great avenue for, and I've talked to other bankers. I don't think I've talked to the Zions Bank guys, but the Wells Fargo bankers in town, so a couple other community banks. That this is a great avenue for us when a business isn't quite there, and just a little insight into our work. We get to take your concept into a loan committee sometimes, and some of these guys can back me up. And man, around that big table are 12, sometimes 15 people that just have been in the industry too long and have are too big a pessimists, if you will, when it comes to risk. And so sometimes we have a hard time saying, no, we think this is a great business and the right time and the right place and their business plan is good. And we're really fighting for you to get that access to capital. This is a little different avenue, obviously, of gaining that capital. And so if that person, that business comes to us as bankers and you say, geez, you're just right there, we're close, and we'd love to work with you in the future or in some other capacity, but can do a soft handoff to this program, I see it as a great avenue. And thankfully, the rest of the council people that are very well versed in business and members of the chamber and have experience in business saw the same way, and so we decided to take this venture. So that's all I have. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it. And thanks for everything.
Okay, the first step to accessing the information is either to contact Dave or myself. We have a full application package. I will walk you through it, what we're looking for. It's pretty much what I said: an application, a small business plan, a cash flow. I give you the list of items that are needed, but then again, I will work with you to make sure everything is what it needs to be. Do you need help with the business plan? Do you need help with the cash flow? So, and I always like to say to my clients, I will work as fast as you will, because the key is to get you to the credit committee as quickly as possible. Businesses that I've worked with over the years, when you discover you need money, you pretty much needed it yesterday. So we want to help you keep that process going, do it quickly, and then get you into the credit committee. Right now, Mike assures me they'll schedule a credit committee whenever we need one, with just a few to a week's notice on that. So, yeah. Okay. By the way, I can email you all of that application information.
And that's also on our website, I think.
Oh, okay, good.
If you go to utcns.com, it's on your papers there. You can go under the Blue Fund. It'll have a copy of that application. Mickey's a good one to get a hold of first, or Dave, either one of those, to talk to them if you have any questions about it, because they can help you walk you through that and answer questions for you.
And questions are at no obligation to apply. So if you're just curious, thinking maybe down the road I need this, absolutely let me know. Yes, sir.
Is the application process, is it more looked at on personal credit or business credit? So what carries more weight?
I would say neither. The application process, many times businesses are not eligible for bank loans because you've invested all of your personal credit cards, home mortgage, everything is invested in the business, and it's brought down your credit score. So we look at the credit score, but we're going to figure out what is the result of the business. And if you were an individual who said, geez, before I started this business 5 years ago, I always paid everything on time, your credit report is going to show that. Business credit with your vendors is important. You might want to show that you may be struggling, but you are going to make sure that they get paid. We're going to look at that. But really what we're looking at is the quality of the business, its opportunity for advancement and for growth, and what in turn it can bring back to your community here. So it's not a one thing throws you out. We're going to look at the entire package. We may ask you some questions about what went wrong here and there, why were you at a loss this year versus the current year, but they want to hear from you. Here's what went wrong, here's how I plan on fixing it. So if there's some concerns about credit or whatever, don't throw yourself out just yet. Talk to me first. I'll be very honest with you if I think we have some issues.